So Season 5 of Battlefield 2042 kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works in my opinion. It sort of changed up the season format from what we knew from Season 1 to 4, and I think a lot of the community kind of dropped off because of it, and it has definitely had me thinking, what can we expect to see in Season 6? Before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. And on top of that, if you guys are interested in just general gaming, be sure to check out the new gaming channel, Sammy Boy Gaming. The link is down in the description. We are well on the way to 1k subscribers over there, and I will be doing a setup tour once we do hit 1k, so be sure to go and check that out. But with that being said, let's get stuck right into it. So like I said, Season 1 through 4 had pretty much the same amount of content, and we kind of knew what to expect in those seasons. The format for those seasons was essentially one map, one specialist, about 2 to 3 weapons, sometimes 3 to 4. There were 2 to 3 portal weapons added as well. We obviously got the battle pass, we got a map rework at the end of the season too, and along the way we got plenty of bug fixes as well. That right there was essentially the format for each season. It was obviously spread across 3 different updates, being for example update 1.0, 1.1 and 1.2. Now Season 5 however had one map, no specialists, 2 to 3 weapons, but no new portal weapons. It was only the attachments that were sort of added and changed. There was obviously the battle pass, and then there was still the hourglass rework, but to be honest it wasn't nearly as good as the others, so it kind of made it feel as though it wasn't, I guess, as big of a piece of content as some of the previous maps. And on top of that, there were much less bug fixes, which to their credit is because the game is in a better state. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I guess that made it feel as though there was less in those updates as well. Technically speaking, we want as few bug fixes as we can get, because that would mean the game is obviously in a better state and there are less bugs to be fixed in general. But unfortunately, the downside to that is it does make the game feel like it's getting less, or we aren't getting as many bug fixes. To me, it did feel like a bit of a letdown in terms of Season 5 compared to Season 1 through 4, which was probably to be expected, to be honest, simply because obviously there's no specialists, there were going to be no new portal weapons, and even the hourglass rework, I think a lot of us knew that probably wasn't going to be that good because that map was just absolutely clapped from the start. And so, like I said, it felt like a bit of a letdown compared to those initial 4 seasons, which I honestly thought just got better as they went. I thought Season 1 was obviously really good when it first came out. Season 2 was just better than Season 1. Season 3 was better than Season 2. And then Season 4, I wouldn't maybe say it was better than Season 3, because I think Season 3 was probably the peak of the game, but Season 4 was essentially on par. And so they just kind of had this gradual growth where they were all better than the last one, which was obviously not going to happen with Season 5, considering we were going to get less content. So anyway, this has me kind of wondering, what can we expect for Season 6? Now, the things we know we're going to get are, we know we're going to be getting a map, we know we're going to get the battle pass, and likely a handful of weapons. That isn't necessarily confirmed, but that is just a go with every single season. We generally get about 2 to 3 weapons, sometimes 3 to 4. Those things that I just listed are essentially guaranteed. Obviously, like I said, we don't officially know that, but I would bet the house on the fact we get a brand new map, a battle pass, and likely a handful of weapons. In terms of what we know we won't be getting though, we won't be getting a specialist, we won't be getting a map rework, and there will again probably be less bug fixes, because obviously, like I said, the game is in a better state, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It sounds like I'm being negative about that we're going to get less bug fixes. That is probably a good thing at the end of the day. It just does have that unfortunate effect of making it feel as though we're actually getting less than we really are. There are then some areas where it's kind of up in the air about what we're going to get. We don't know if we're going to get more portal weapons. I would assume we will. That is not really confirmed, because obviously Season 5 did throw a bit of a spanner in the works that we didn't get more weapons in that season. Like I said, as of right now, all we really know is a map, a battle pass, and a handful of weapons, and that has got me a little bit concerned about Season 6, because I don't think that is enough. In fact, it's not a matter of not thinking, it is a matter of knowing that that is not enough content to excite people and keep people hooked for a whole season, and they are definitely going to need to fix that if they want people to enjoy Season 6. The main question that I have is, what content are they going to give us to essentially replace the quote-unquote content that we're no longer getting, that being a specialist and a map rework? The reason I say quote-unquote content is because a map rework isn't necessarily new content. It's obviously already in the game and they're just fixing it, but it kind of felt as though it was new content. It was obviously a new coat of paint on those previous maps, so it felt at least a bit new and exciting, but even then that technically was not even new content either. But what are they going to replace those two things with? The lack of a specialist, we didn't get any replacement for that in Season 5, and obviously we did get a map rework in Season 5, but we aren't going to be getting one in Season 6 because Hourglass was the final one. A lot of people have been saying, you know, could we get another map? Could we get more game modes, more weapons? And I'm not going to lie, I don't think we're going to get any of them. I don't see them adding 2 maps this season. I absolutely hope I'm wrong. That would be the greatest thing ever if we actually get 2 maps in a season for once, but I genuinely just do not see that being a possibility. I don't really think we're going to get more game modes. We may get more limited time modes, and there will definitely be like a mid-season event again, but I'm talking more, you know, key game modes that they add. We've seen it in Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, that they added a lot of modes that became like permanent modes and became like core modes within Battlefield. Are they going to add more stuff like that? I kind of doubt it as well, because they seem to be going for more of those limited time modes, as well as just putting stuff in Portal, which, to be honest, no one ends up playing anyway. And we're going to get more weapons instead of specialists and stuff. I don't know about that either. They've done so much work over the last few months in terms of the balancing, and I feel like they wouldn't want to add, you know, 5, 6, 7 weapons at once, because that could result in some pretty poor balancing at the end of the day. And so I do think they'll probably still just stick to the 2 to 3, maybe 3 to 4 weapons that we know we're going to get throughout the rest of the season. So it definitely has me a little bit concerned in terms of what are they going to replace that original content with, the specialists and the map reworks. It kind of feels like they're going to replace it with nothing, and we are literally just going to get a map, a battle pass, a couple of weapons, and potentially a few portal weapons as well. And for me, that is just definitely not good enough, at least in this point of the game's lifespan. In my opinion, they need to give us more than Season 5, or else, in my opinion, the game is essentially finished at that point. I think that may sound reactionary and it may sound over the top, saying, oh, if they don't do this, then the game's dead. I know a lot of people always say that, but I genuinely do believe at this point in the game's lifespan, if this season doesn't deliver, I think that will pretty much be the final nail in the coffin. We don't have confirmation of Season 7 or 8. The game is very much up in the air right now, and after a pretty poorly performing Season 5 in terms of people's enjoyment, I think everyone's enjoyment, I shouldn't say everyone, but I think the majority of the player base's enjoyment definitely dropped off. I know a lot of people personally, as well as other YouTubers, people on Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that, who have just constantly said, I've kind of lost interest in the game over the last couple of months. And I think they definitely need to do something different with Season 6, or else that is only going to continue with this new season. With that being said, I am keen to hear what you guys think we're going to get in Season 6, whether you think it will just be pretty much the bare minimum, whether you think maybe we will get 2 maps or whatever. I'm definitely keen to hear your thoughts, so be sure to leave them in the comments below. And also on top of that, let me know if this season does feel like a letdown. Is that it for you guys, or will you continue to stick with the game? I am very keen to hear your thoughts on that as well. With that being said though, guys, thank you all very much for tuning in. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all out there on the battlefield.